You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Coming up, Chef Anthony Fisher from the Pittsburgh High School is heading into the studio for another fantastic recipe. He's making pasta, which will ultimately be converted into ravioli.
Also, it may look like rain in the area, but fire officials are still warning about the potential of grass fires. Our own Shagun Bamadali takes a closer look.
Plus, as Tanya mentioned, yes, we are seeing rain. Whoa, hi, how are you? We are seeing rain. I was just passing through, but here I am. We're seeing rain. Anyway, we've got rain. It's doing its thing, but the ground is still very dry. We'll take a look at these rain chances and how long they're going to stick around in the Skywatch Weather Center.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. A pedestrian is dead after she was struck by a motorcycle near Racine, Missouri. Authorities say 32-year-old Joanna DeRose of Racine was on foot on Route K Tuesday when she was hit by a bike driven by Nicholas Livermore of Racine. DeRose died at the scene. Livermore was in serious condition. A Joplin woman is accused of firing a gun from one car towards a person in another car. Police arrested 20-year-old Cameron McCain at a Joplin home. They say a caller reported that McCain fired a gunshot at her car from a car at the intersection of 7th Street and South Wall Avenue in Joplin just before midnight Tuesday night. No one was hurt. Authorities released the name of a man who was shot in Joplin Tuesday afternoon. Police received a call of gunshots at 1201 East Hill Street before 4 on Tuesday. That's where they found 47-year-old Daniel Samuels of Joplin with gunshot injuries. Authorities now say he is in stable condition. Police have not made any arrest. Free or reduced lunch provided by schools are a necessity for some students during the school year. But what happens when students go home for summer? Federal Summer Meals Program has provided box meals to 11 sites around Kansas to help solve this hunger issue. Students or their guardian are able to pick up a box once a week from the nearest site. And as of yesterday, the Girard, Kansas volunteers at the public library have served a total of 1,060 boxes to local youth this summer. A Joplin woman is sentenced for killing a Joplin couple in a DWI crash. Authorities say in January of last year, Rita Glasgow was intoxicated when she drove a stolen pickup into an SUV. Terry and Rhonda Koppel of Joplin both died from injuries in that crash. And now a judge has sentenced Glasgow to 23 years in prison for driving while intoxicated. Glasgow is already serving a 7-year prison sentence for other drug crimes. The sentences will run at the same time. Well, some areas have received a little rain, others remain dry, and some fire officials say they're dealing with a lot of calls about grass fires. KOAM's Shagun Bamadali has more.
As we continue in one of the hottest summers ever recorded, firefighters are warning about the dangers of grass fires.
What I can tell you right now is we're responding to several grass fires a day, and with the conditions that we're experiencing with the drought, we're having to help our neighbors and they're having to help us on almost all of those fires. So it becomes a team approach at this point.
Keith Stammer, the director of Joplin Jasper County Emergency Management, explained why it is a problem.
The problem with grass fires and heat is the heat dries out the grass and it becomes extremely dry to the point that any kind of a spark can ignite it.
Stammer says there are different causes for the blaze.
Many of the sources of ignition for grass fires include cigarettes, perhaps a hot muffler on a vehicle, somebody deciding to burn when it's unbelievably hot outside and the fire gets away from them.
Stammer also says people should pay attention to anything that can ignite the fire around them. In Joplin, Shagun Bamadali, KOAM News.
Officials also say people should avoid burning even when it cools down or rains because it will take time to overcome the drought. Well, we're in the dog days heat of summer, and what a better way to cool off than plunging into a refreshing pool. Gather the family and hit the slides on National Water Park Day every year on July 28th. Did not know that was today. Individual water slides have been popular for decades. Most enthusiasts agree the modern version of the water park was born in 1977. That's when One of SeaWorld's co-founders opened Wet n Wild in Orlando, Florida. Since then, massive collections of water-based rides have taken off. Almost every state has at least one water park with attractions including lazy rivers, wave pools, and slides that push you up hills like roller coasters. Variations on the traditional water park include indoor parks and floating slides aboard cruise ships.
Yeah, some of those, like on the cruise ships, kind of freak me out a little bit. I mean, I know you're safe. Obviously, you're fine. It's just, it's a little strange.
We went on a cruise in February of 2020 with a family-friendly ship that had the water slides and stuff.
Right.
One day it was so windy, they had to shut down that slide. Like it was, the water in the pool was going up and up. You know, it was empty it was like a wave pool.
Yeah, yeah.
But like it was scary going up there. And plus the wind made it so cold.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it at all. Just because you're on a cruise ship doesn't automatically mean the temperature's going to be 90 degrees all around you.
It should be, even if it's February.
Should be. Unfortunately, though, today is probably not a good day to head up to any of your favorite water parks or water slides. Let's take a real quick look at today in weather history. So yesterday, McDonald County had a hail report. Thankfully, it was nothing like this. Check it out. A severe storm with hail up to 1.5 inches broke windows, ruined roofs, and stripped trees of leaves. This was near Benson, Arizona. The temperature also dropped to 37 degrees. There was hail that was 3 to 4 inches deep, and there were drifts of hail up to 46 inches high. That is a lot of hail. No hail on your commute, though, but we will see some slippery roads, especially on the Missouri side. We're going to have increasing thunderstorm chances. There will be a little bit of a break if you're on the Kansas side along Highway 69. Not this morning, but then a little bit this afternoon, and the rain chances build in for everybody. So let's talk about those increasing storm chances, shall we? It's not going to be nearly as hot today as what we have seen, and the better storm chances start now. And wet weather is going to stick with us all the way through Sunday before August kicks us off in the 90s and then pushing maybe even 100 degrees. Skywatch Storm Tracker, take a look. There is a lot of activity all across the board, and that is slowly making its way in our direction. We had a little storm in Crawford County. It died out. It's trying to reorganize as it gets into Barton County, but otherwise out to the west, just some good old heavy rain. Oh, there's a little lightning strike south of Chanute. So nothing crazy, at least not right now. Yesterday, though, was a bit crazy. I know you were following Doug. He came in with all this information on severe thunderstorm warnings, and it left a number of storm reports, even some damage reports from those storms. And strong storms, another possibility today. Now, the good news is the tornado risk and the hail risk both very low. But what we do have a better chance of is with some of these storms, we may see some wind gusts pushing 60 miles an hour like we did yesterday. 7th in range line, the sun's coming up and it's warming up quickly. 80 degrees in Joplin, feels like 83 because the humidity and dew point are up there. So we're all starting in the 70s to near 80. But that dew point, all of us sitting in the 70s roughly for dew points, which makes it feel very sticky outside. And that's just because we have the rain chances that are building in. So let's talk about the rest of the day real quick. Thunderstorm chances increase as we go through the day. Highs topping out at about 90 degrees. It's the last 90-degree day for a little bit. Gusty south winds pushing maybe 20 miles an hour. Winds will become calm overnight. Storms to stick with us all night long. 72 for an overnight low. And a quick look at the future track shows us all of the activity. Scattered storms. And that's the thing, is they're scattered. Widespread cloud cover, but scattered rain chances all day long into tonight, into tomorrow morning, into tomorrow afternoon. We have these storm chances. And by tomorrow afternoon, we actually have some of our better chances, a bit more widespread thunderstorm activity. Well, don't go anywhere because see, Chef Anthony, he's going to be right here after the break with a fantastic pasta and sauce recipe you do not want to miss. And later, a new study shows vitamin D may not be as effective in reducing bone fractures for some people. We'll explain. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Welcome back. I'm joined again by Chef Anthony, and we are making pasta this morning, specifically rolling out some raviolis.
Yes, we're going to have some fun this morning. So this is the pasta that I had earlier, and what I've done is I've cut my pasta ball into 4 pieces.
Okay.
And you can do this. You don't have to use a pasta machine if you don't have one. You happen to be lucky enough to have one. So
If you don't, then you just roll it out with a rolling pin?
roll it out with a rolling pin.
Okay.
And don't forget that this is since we're doing raviolis, it's a doubled up noodle. So you want to make sure that you get it thin enough. And you don't That way you don't dough it.
Okay.
So, sorry, as I'm rolling it through here, as you see, I'm rolling it through a little bit at a time. I have plenty of flour on it so that it doesn't stick.
We're coming to pay a visit. We want to make sure that everybody can hear Mr. Chef Anthony because he's making such a fantastic
I just turned your mic
meal.
on. There we go.
So here we go, rolling through. And I love this pasta machine. It's very simple. You can pick these up online really cheap. You can pick them up at with our friends over at Allied Restaurant Supply, and you can order them. Occasionally you can find the big machines at your local retail stores. So what I have here is just my nice big piece. It's not as big as you would hope, but we go through and we roll it out, and we're going to cut it down.
Okay.
So that we can stuff them. And the idea behind fresh pasta is that no two pieces are the same. So cutting it into strips, cutting it into noodles, making tortellini, the non-uniformity is what makes it unique and special. So I have made our stuffing, which is the habanero pineapple brats from Simon Market.
Yes.
And I've mixed it with a little bit of my fresh herbs and provolone cheese. So it gives a little saltiness to it. And then we have our pasta sauce over here. And this is wonderful. This takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours to make, but it is so wonderful in its flavors. 2 ounces of carrots, 2 ounces of onions, 1 ounce of salt pork, and let it sit and cook together for a while. Then add in 16 ounces of tomatoes, crushed tomatoes. I like to do roasted tomatoes, so I put them in the oven, peel them, get all that goodness off of them, and then I mix them in. Let it all cook together for about an hour, and then blend it down fine. And you can do that in a food processor, you can do it in your blender, you can do it with an immersion blender, whatever you like, until you have no chunks left in it, and then let it cook for about another hour, just slowly coming down. If it starts to get too thick or too hot, just add a little chicken stock to it.
There you go.
So we have our pasta pieces. I'm going to go one more turn on our rollers and roll these through. Oh, look at that. Nice and beautiful. So we're going to start with 3 raviolis this morning. And like I said, the uniqueness of the shapes is part of making fresh pasta.
So out of one ball, you're getting about 3 raviolis. So if you did that out of all of them, then...
Well, it all depends on how big you make them too.
Yeah.
This particular pasta machine actually has a ravioli attachment that makes life really nice. But I tend to not use it because I like my raviolis bigger. So, and me...
Well, we've got quite a bit to
everything's
stuff
bigger.
into them, so...
So, bigger is better every time. And
I
we're
will
going
try
to
not
give
to
these...
comment.
You are ornery this morning, aren't you?
Maybe.
So here we have our pieces. I'm going to cut this one in half again.
Okay.
And I'm going to take a little bit of our filling, put it right in the middle, and then I'm going to wet the edges. Just wetting the edges helps them to stick together just a little bit easier. And then roll it over.
Okay.
Pinch them shut. Make sure you keep everything inside of your
Is there a
noodle.
traditional shape for doing this, like making
Usually
a
it's
triangle, or does it
Usually it's square.
square?
Some people do a round one, like if they were making a pierogi with mashed potatoes. It just all depends on the individual. Some people like to make them look like a dumpling. So there you go.
Is that too much?
Nope, that looks good. And the dough, if you leave it just a little on the thicker side, it will help to stretch just a little bit as you're making it. And you'll fold it right on up.
Roll it in half. The key is to get everything inside with a good seal.
Yes. Now, when you're all done, if you like, you can get ravioli cutters. They look like a stamp. So you can just go through and roll it out and then lay them over on top of each other.
Or you could use a fork.
Or you can use a fork, whatever you like. I like to make mine and then take a fork and give it a little...
Pretty decorative seal.
Yeah, a little bit of a decorative seal on the edge. Cut off any oddball looking pieces. There you go.
I like what you said about making each one look different.
And the uniqueness is what makes them so good. We're gonna give that one more run. That's just a little on the thick side.
What's a good thickness that we're shooting for? I mean, if we're telling people at home.
You wanna go for a little bit more than a dime. Or right around a dime thickness.
Because right now I would say it was about as thick as that knife.
About as thick as the spine of my knife.
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
And patience. The thing with pasta is you can't rush it. You have to have patience with it. And there we go.
What happens if you make it too thin? Are they going to break while
They'll break while they cook in. They'll break when you're trying to make them.
I guess it's just something you learn over time. Like, oh, I made them too thin last time. Let's go a little bit thicker in the future.
Exactly. So
trial by error type thing.
And we're going to do one more wet. But I'm also going to show you just how easy it is. You remember the chicken and dumplings we made? Grandma's chicken noodle soup? These work wonderful for that.
Okay.
Because once you get there, we're going to cut this one here into some unique shapes.
Okay. Do we want to go ahead and go to break and then, or do you want to get some in the pot before we go to break?
They only cook for about a minute, so they will be done before we come back from break. So if you want to go to break, we can do that.
Let's go ahead and go to break, and then we will come back and check out our raviolis as we pull them out of the pot. We'll be right back. All right, we are back with Chef Anthony, and we are about ready to start throwing some of our raviolis into the water.
So we have them done. Water's boiling. Don't forget to salt your water when you make pasta. And we're just going to throw those right in. But when you make homemade pasta at home, this is the wonderful part about it, is cutting the individual size pieces that you want. So like me, I like a fettuccine style noodle, just something just a little bit bigger. So I cut mine just a little bit bigger. This works great if you're doing soup, and they don't take very long to cook. So you can actually make these up, have your sauce ready to go, toss them in a little bit of flour to make sure that they don't stick to each other. And
so you
mine,
call
of
those
course,
like fettuccine style?
Yeah, these are a little on the fettuccine style. And I'm going to throw these right into the pot as well. So as you can see, everything's starting to come together really nicely. Let's get our plate ready.
Okay.
So I have my sauce, and I do my raviolis just a little different than most people do. I like to put my sauce down first.
Ah, so you can show off the...
So I can showcase the raviolis themselves. And then I lay it right out.
Pretty.
And give it a little jiggle so that my sauce covers the entire base of my plate.
Okay,
and our raviolis are
just about a minute
just
there.
about there. And I'm just going to take them right on out and lay them right on top of my sauce.
So we did the boiled technique. A lot of people like to fry their raviolis or something to give them
You're
a crisper.
still going to need to get them cooked a little bit.
You want to boil them still a little?
You're still going to want to boil them in the water and then roll them in breadcrumbs while they're hot and throw it right into your fryer.
Okay. And it wouldn't take very long to fry them because you've already cooked. Well, your meat's already cooked to begin with, and your cheese is melted, so
everything's already cooked.
The breading, basically.
And then I'm going to reach in here and I'm going to grab our little noodles that we made.
Aw.
Throw those right into the middle. There you go.
Beautiful.
And it's a beautiful little plate. It's a wonderful little design. You don't have to put a whole lot of effort or a whole lot of work into it, but it's going to take a little bit of time to get used to because fresh pasta has a different texture than non-fresh pasta.
Are we too hot to dig into?
Oh, you should be just fine. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead and take one. How much spice did you put in today's?
Not a whole lot. A little
That's
different.
really good. Yeah.
But
Yummy.
making pasta is super simple. Most people are afraid to do it, but you can do so many things with fresh pasta. Once you learn to make the dough, then the fun begins. Because then you get to start messing around and you can make dumplings with them. You can do anything you want as long as you figured out how to make your dough.
And you talked about like doing different flavorings with your dough too, so it doesn't have to be just plain flour dough.
Exactly. And like I was talking earlier, you can grind up freeze-dried fruits and add them to it, add a little bit of goat cheese into the middle of them with some dried fruits, and then make your raviolis that way. We'll cook them off, add them with a little bit of simple syrup that's been sauteed with some dry fruit, and make a dessert pasta with them.
Yummy.
So
Okay.
you don't always have to go super savory.
Your pork for the filling was a great idea too.
It's a little
That's
different.
good.
Most people don't use pork, but I'm trying to bring it back. It's a little bit more economical for people right now with the cost of it. Chicken's up, beef's up, but pork is slowly rising, but you can get better cuts of pork and more of it.
Well, and when you're grinding it or doing something like this, you don't need like the higher cut.
Exactly.
As well.
And if you have a good butcher, like when I go to Simon Market, I tell him what I want. He takes care of whatever I need. So we'll use these again. We can use these and have them twisted down and make meatballs out of them too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Pineapple habanero.
Pineapple habanero.
Yep, I taste it. Yeah, it's perfect. Those were great.
Not too spicy, not too sweet. Good.
Sounds delicious. All right, so if you want to find the recipe for the pasta or for the pasta sauce, the homemade sauce that Chef Anthony made, you can go to our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. You can find all 3 segments together later this morning, and be sure to check that out. Any idea what you're planning for next week?
I don't know. Next week is my back to school ramp up, so we'll have to find something interesting.
Yes, get everybody ready to go back to school.
That's right.
All right, we will be right back.
Watch this morning, 2 new studies agree that animals sold at a Wuhan, China market are likely what started the COVID-19 pandemic. Vitamin D is widely prescribed for bone health, but a new study shows the supplements do not reduce fractures in generally healthy men and women. Now, researchers at Brigham and Women's Hospital say the findings do not apply to adults with vitamin D deficiency, low bone mass, or osteoporosis. Starting the day in the 70s to near 80 degrees. We're going to push about 90 for an afternoon high with scattered thunderstorm chances lasting all day, gusty southerly breeze, and those storm chances go on overnight with lows dropping off into the lower 70s. More of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 after this.
Starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:31. Let's take a look at today's top stories. A Joplin woman is sentenced for killing a Joplin couple in a DWI crash. Authorities say in January of last year, Rita Glasgow was intoxicated when she drove a stolen pickup into an SUV. Terry and Rhonda Koppel of Joplin both died from injuries in that crash. And now a judge has sentenced Glasgow to 23 years in prison for driving while intoxicated. Glasgow is already serving a 7-year prison sentence for other drug crimes. The sentences will run at the same time. A pedestrian is dead after she was struck by a motorcycle near Racine, Missouri. Authorities say 32-year-old Johanna DeRose of Racine was on foot on Route K on Tuesday when she was hit by a motorcycle driven by Nicholas Livermore of Racine. DeRose died at the scene. Livermore was in serious condition. A statue honoring Amelia Earhart is unveiled in Statuary Hall at the Capitol. With the addition of Earhart, the Statuary Hall collection will now have 11 women represented out of 100 total statues. Each state is represented by 2 statues. Amelia Earhart was chosen by Kansas to replace Kansas Senator John James Ingalls. This is the 90th anniversary of Earhart's landmark solo flight across the Atlantic, as well as the 125th anniversary of her birth in Kansas. The other Kansas statue is of Dwight D. Eisenhower. Freeman Hospital in Joplin hosts a health academy for high school students who are interested in health care. The participants job shadowed a variety of different positions throughout the hospital. The students had to apply to enter the academy, and one recalled when she got her acceptance email.
I was super excited. Even whenever they sent out the test email to make sure it was working, I snatched my phone from somebody who was playing a game just because they said it was the Freeman Health Academy. I was jumping in class. And I finally got the approval when I was at the lake house, and I was bragging to all my family about it.
When the week is over, the students will receive a certificate stating they completed the academy. The Ronald McDonald House in Joplin celebrates its 24th birthday. In the months leading up to the 24th anniversary, the organization launched a 24/7 support campaign. The campaign celebrates and honors the qualities shown by supporters 24/7, 365 days for the past 24 years.
So today we're really honoring our guests who are guests with us here. We have a guest that's going home with her twins. That's always a celebratory note. Yes.
To learn more about the 24-year program, you can go to the Ronald McDonald House Facebook page. When you think of beer and gorillas, those two words may not go together. But Pitt State is set to have its first officially licensed beer with Jolly Fox Brewery called the Golden Gorilla Ale. The beverage will be out this August, just in time for the football season.
Just to create something unique for Pittsburgh. A lot of businesses work together in Pittsburgh. Creates a great community environment, and it's enjoyable for everyone.
There are just over 10 universities across the country with an officially licensed beer. Well, there's no better way to beat the heat than to create a sweet treat. Local Children's Miracle Network champion Nora Beechner created her own blizzard at Dairy Queen to promote the network's upcoming Miracle Treat Day. Dairy Queen is giving a chance to donate to CMN. All you have to do is buy a frozen treat from Dairy Queen today.
All the funds raised through Children's Miracle Network stay local, and they come back to Freeman Health System to help sick and injured kids with travel expenses, specialized medical equipment, medications, just different things that can help their care be more comfortable.
Well, Nora's blizzard, in case you wondered, it was made up of cookie dough, Oreo, caramel, and a little bit of cotton candy. There'll also be a car show and family fun night at the 32nd Street Dairy Queen. That's tonight from 5 to 8 p.m. Well, here's something you don't hear every day. Music fans upset about an album leaking early. Beyoncé's new album, Renaissance, has reportedly made its way onto the internet. Some of the singer's fans are complaining and begging people not to listen to the files or share them. The album is due to release on Friday. It's been a source of speculation since Beyoncé released the first single, Break My Soul, in June. Digital leaks of new album days or even weeks before their official release dates are common, though. Some fans share images of the actual physical album on store shelves in Europe. Retailers breaking release dates is a little bit less common.
You know what's interesting is they didn't say why people are upset it was released early or leaked. Because, you know, like they said, most people are generally excited. They're like, oh yeah, all right, I got that new album. I got it before you did. But that's not the case here.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm not really sure. I would
It's
think it would
interesting,
grow
though.
the excitement, but
I'm going to leak my own album a little later.
me too.
And the sky is going to be leaking. It's doing so pretty well today, too. Skywatch Storm Tracker is very active as this activity continues to push off to the east-southeast. And we're, of course, dealing with some thunderstorms around our area, too. We got quite a bit of lightning to the north there, and we actually even had some severe weather yesterday. It left behind some damage reports. We do have another strong to severe storm threat today. The good news is tornado risk, hail risk, both very low. The only thing we're really looking at is some of these storms may pack some strong to severe winds pushing 60 miles an hour. We'll have more on the complete forecast a little later. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
It's time to honor today's four-state hero, Private Second Class Kimberly Bennett. The Miami, Oklahoma native began her service in 2006 with the Bravo Company, WBAMC. This veteran also earned the Discipline Proficiency Award. To Private Second Class Kimberly Bennett, we thank you. Today's four-state hero.
Well, today we're discussing the high price of rent. You see, according to the realty company CoStar Group, rent prices are climbing nationwide. Now, while they're not as bad here as they are in some places, prices are still higher than they were a couple of years ago. As a matter of fact, the CoStar Group estimates that since 2019, rent prices have risen less in Crawford County and Newton County, but that doesn't mean they haven't. So in Jasper County, for example, rent prices have gone up 5%. That can be an even tougher pill to swallow when the quality of the rental property does not match the quantity of the price tag.
So our question we've been asking, do you feel that you are paying too much for rent, or do you know somebody that's paying too much for rent?
Yeah.
There you go.
And so far,
You're not
75% of you say no. And you know, I mentioned this earlier. I feel the rent that we're paying, personally, I don't mean in general, is pretty fair for the home that we have. It's not bad. It could be a lot worse. We do want you to vote. KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Do so in the KOAM News Now app, and then go take part in discussion. See how others are doing on our Facebook page.
All right. Well, I did read some studies that showed that Kansas overall since 2019 has not gone up, but Missouri is one of the states that has increased in rent prices. So mean, that
Thankfully,
could make a
ours
difference
has
too.
not increased. So that's, I mean, get home today and they'll be like, hey, we're going to have to raise the rent a little bit. But hopefully they don't, because it's a pretty fair price right now.
There you go.
Well, it's a reunion 50 years in the making for a veteran in Kansas.
The plane Myron Jansen grew to love while he was in Vietnam was restored, and on Wednesday, he got a chance to take it to the sky.
Michael Schwanke has that story.
To say Myron Jansen has a love for planes is an understatement.
Got in Air Force ROTC because I wanted to fly, and the only way I was going to get to do it is somebody else paid for it.
The Vietnam veteran spent a lot of time flying during the war, and it's one particular plane that he's always kept close to his heart.
It's a Cessna 337 is what it is, and it's modified to be an O2B. And an O2B is the type of 337 that drops leaflets on the enemy, trying to get him to give up rather than fight.
Wednesday, Myron had the chance to reunite with the plane he became all too familiar with during his time in Vietnam.
It's looking good.
Pilot Dennis Warren purchased and restored the Vietnam-era plane. He'd been in touch with Myron during the restoration process.
Myron has helped me with the historical, the paint job, a lot of history on this airplane.
Myron got a chance not just to see the plane.
How do you like these? Does that bring back memories?
He also got a chance to take it to the sky. As for the ride,
The flight was outstanding. It was a lot better than I remembered it. When I did it before, it was a job, it was work. And you had to watch out because there's somebody trying to get after you all the time you're out there. And here, I was comfortable. Nobody's shooting at us. Just getting off the ground. I'll remember this for a long time.
Absolutely incredible. You see, Jansen logged about 40 hours flying the plane during the Vietnam War.
It's now on its way to Wisconsin for an air show. I'm glad he got to take a flight in that. That's really cool.
That was very cool. We've got more coming up.
In Consumer Watch this morning, the Federal Reserve raised its key interest rates by 0.75 percentage point. Yesterday's rate hike, along with last month's, marks the Fed's most aggressive effort to bring inflation under control in more than 3 decades. Higher rates increase the cost of loans to consumers and businesses alike, raising concerns the Fed's rate-taming efforts could spark a recession. Today, the government's report on gross domestic product will show if the economy shrank in the second quarter of the year. After a months-long bidding war, the Wall Street Journal says JetBlue Airways is coming close to a deal to buy Spirit Airlines. Citing people familiar with the matter, the newspaper says a deal could be announced as soon as today, and it would come after Spirit and Frontier Airlines announced yesterday they're giving up on their merger proposal. Spirit's board supported joining with Frontier, but shareholders were expected to reject it, preferring a richer offer from JetBlue. In an update to the story, the AP reports JetBlue agrees to buy Spirit for $3.8 billion. And Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, reported its first ever decline in quarterly revenue since going public. Lower ad spending, a cooling economy, and increasing competition took a toll on Meta's sales. CEO Mark Zuckerberg says the company is slowing its pace of investments and plans to steadily reduce employee growth. We'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
A mysterious red glow above the Pacific Ocean has internet sleuths fishing for answers. JD Moose has this glowing report.
From a cockpit 31,000 feet over the North Pacific, a pilot sees and photographs a mystery red glow below. It's enough to make you think.
You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Actually, pilot Dustin Maggard told CNN, we had no idea what we were looking at. We were making jokes about being in the middle of some sort of military exercise or some sort of alien invasion. Once the photos and a short video made it to the internet, Let the guessing game begin. Undersea volcano eruption. It's a UFO, unidentified floating object, and the most popular theory of all. This is Stranger Things, the eerie series featuring another dimension known as the Upside Down. But the most likely explanation is itself a pretty strange thing.
What were those red things?
They were commercial fishing vessels that were fishing for Pacific Sari using very bright red arrays of LED lights.
Lights like this that attract the mackerel-like fish known as Sari. As someone commented, who's sorry now?
You sound very certain.
I am.
Neil Jacobs entered the flight's location and date into globalfishingwatch.org and was able to see fishing vessels by name. On the video, you can see what appears to be one vessel turning its red lights on.
And you can literally see them from outer space.
You can see the red glow from the International Space Station. If you thought there was something fishy about these photos, you're right. Genimos, CNN, New York.
You gotta love interesting mysteries like that, until they're solved, of course, but it's good to have them solved. That way we know what's going on out there. No mysterious red glows that are, alien invasions or anything like that. Some red glows on our radar, but they are not so mysterious. You can see we've got thunderstorms here. We got a lot of shower activity building into the area as we zoom in a little closer. Yeah, look at all the lightning north of Chanute. We'll see more thunderstorms throughout the day. Now, yesterday's storms actually brought some severe weather and even some damage reports as well. And we could deal with a few strong severe storms again today. Tornado risk is very low. Hail risk is very low. It's wind, which you can see it's been trimmed back a little bit. But if you're in that brown, you could see a strong storm or two with some winds about 60 miles an hour. Right now in Joplin, warming up pretty quickly, and there we go. 80 degrees is where we're at. Most of us sitting in the 70s to 80s, and those dew points, of course, making it very muggy outside because of all that rain that we've got. Quick check of what we're going to expect through the day. Showers and thunderstorms increase throughout the afternoon. Highs pushing about 90 degrees with a gusty south breeze. And overnight tonight, it's going to get back down into the lower 70s as storm chances continue to build and even increase by tomorrow. More of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 coming up.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. The Commerce Department comes out with new gross domestic product data this morning. Wall Street expects to see a second straight quarter of negative growth, a traditional sign of a recession. It comes as the Federal Reserve raised its benchmark interest rate by 3/4 of a point yesterday, as the central bank tries to fight inflation by slowing consumer and business spending. The Biden administration says the State Department has made a, quote, substantial proposal to Moscow for the release of WNBA star Brittany Griner and former Marine Paul Whelan. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken did not say who the U.S. offered to hand over, but Russia has long sought the release of Viktor Bout, a convicted Russian arms dealer known as the Merchant of Death. Whelan is serving a 16-year conviction for espionage, and Griner faces up to 10 years in prison after she brought cannabis oil cartridges into the country. 2 states have had their abortion bans temporarily blocked by judges. A ban in Wyoming set to go into effect Wednesday, and another in North Dakota today were put on hold as lawsuits argue they violate state constitutions. In both states, trigger laws passed years ago were set to go into effect that ban abortions in most instances.
Showers and thunderstorms the theme for the next few days as they will increase in coverage throughout the afternoon. Highs pushing about 90 degrees with a gusty south breeze. Temperatures getting into the lower 70s overnight as the storm chances continue, and they'll hold on through Sunday with more storm chances, better ones even tomorrow, and then we'll return to summer by the start of next week, unfortunately.
Right. Well, the James Webb Space Telescope is on a 10-year journey in space, and now it will journey around the U.S. as a stamp.
Yeah, it's the U.S. Postal Service's latest forever stamp honoring the modern marvel, the largest and most complex telescope ever deployed in space. You can see an artist's depiction of the telescope itself with its gold-coated mirror segments making up a 21-foot wide lens, along with one of the dazzling photos from the telescope. The 60-cent stamps will come out on September 8th on sheets of 20 for 12 bucks. Get yourself some really cool stamps. Make sure you hold on to a couple of them.
That's cool.
Very cool.
Or you could mail them and then save them once they've been spent.
Very true. Very true. Well, thank you all so much for letting us put in the good in your morning. We're going to be back with more news and weather today at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.